Okay, this is January 2013, Unit 2 paper, question 4. This is on the bonus issues and statement of changes in equity. So have read the question. So as you can see, this is the equity section of the SoF in January 2012. So that's our ordinary shares, what we call the issued share capital. So the first thing we would always do is work out how many shares there are. So to do that, we're going to divide by the value of a share, so 0.2, 20p. That's going to give us 6,250 shares. Okay, so that's handy to know. Then we'll read through all the points one at a time. So I think each part is actually going to link to one of the numbers. So 4A is asking for calculate dividend paid in February 2012. So if we look at number 1, it says February, payment of dividend of £1.50 per share. The dividend was paid on all shares in issue on 1st January 2012. Well, we had, if I just get rid of that, we had 6,250 shares. So I'm going to times that by £1.50, so that's how much a dividend is per share, and get £9,375 was that dividend. Easy 3 marks. Okay, next one, part B says calculate the value of the bonus issue shares. So the bonus issue shares was number 3. So it's on the basis of 50 new shares for every 1 existing share. So what we would do, we would have our current number of shares, which is 6,250. We would divide by the existing shares and times by the new shares. So that will give us 312,500 new shares issued. And so to get the value of them, well, we look at the value of a share, so the value is 20p. So we're going to times that number by 20p and get £62,500. So that's how much those bonus issues are worth. Now remember, for bonus issue, we don't actually receive that money. We use our equity to pay for that. No money actually goes into the bank. Okay, and 4C, calculate the dividend paid in September 2012. So that's number 4. So payment of 30p per share this time. The dividends were paid on all shares in August 2012. Well, the issue was in May, so in August we have more shares. So at the beginning of the year, we had 6,250 shares. We now have an extra 312,500 shares. So my total number of shares now is 318,750 shares altogether. So to work out the dividend paid, I'm going to do that number. So 318,750 times the payment for the dividend, which is 30p, and we get 95,625. So it's been equals in the middle. That's better. Okay, so that's, again, that was an easy 5 marks, I think. So the last bit is just do the SoCiE. So this is when we just read through the numbers all together. So first of all, we have issue of shares. Oh, well, first of all, actually, even before that, we need the balance at the beginning of the year, was 1st January 2012. So I'm just going to copy these numbers from up here. So 1,250. Share premium was 25,000. There was no revaluation reserve and retained earnings 851,725. Good. Okay, and then we list down the side what might change the equity. So we have issue of shares. So that means our shares increased. Remember, if we look in part B, it increased by 62,500. So the ordinary shares goes up by 62,500. However, our equity shouldn't change, so we need to get rid of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it away from the share premium. So I can take away 25,000, and then I don't want to have to dip into the retained earnings. So hopefully I'm going to be able to take some from the revaluation reserve. So I'll come back to this bit in a second. Let's just look at what the revaluation reserve was. So in April, revaluation reserve, it said it resulted in an increase of the value of the asset of 150,000. So that means my revaluation surplus didn't change anything apart from the revaluation was 150,000. So if we go back to the issue of shares now, so the ordinary shares increased by 62,500. So our share premium, we're going to take away all of it. We're going to take away the 25,000. However, that still leaves us with, let me just work it out. So 62,500, take away 25,000, still leaves us with 37,500. So we can either take it away from the revaluation or retain earnings. But remember, retain earnings, we can use that to pay for dividends. So we don't want to really get rid of that. So instead, we take it away from the revaluation reserve. Because remember, bonus issue doesn't actually increase my equity. Okay, then the last thing, so we've done the revaluation. I should have done that one first, but it doesn't matter. We've done the bonus, done that one. So now it's just the dividends. So dividends paid. Now, if you can, it's good to just write one value for dividends paid instead of having two rows. So dividends paid only affects the retained earnings, because that's what we can use to pay for dividends. And we had 9,375 in February, and then 95,625 in September. So we're going to add those numbers together. 9,375 add 95,625. So we get £105,000, and again that's going to decrease my retained earnings. So that's all the things that have changed my equity. So now I just need to balance at the end of the year. So just total them up, and we should get, when we do it, 63,750. This should now become 0. This should become 112,500. And this, I'm not finished with this yet, am I? So I'm just going to put that in a row below, because again, hopefully you spotted there's one more thing that affects the equity, and that's the profit for the year. So again, that only changes the retained earnings. So you look back up, and it was hidden there. So the profit for the year was that number, and the directors made provision for tax of that number, so we needed to take them away. So 356,840, take away 71,368, and we get 285,472. So that's going to be my profit for the year, and that's going to increase my retained earnings. So 285,472. So we can now add this column together and get 1,032,197. So I guess the thing to remember is there's no more initial shares, and if it's a bonus issue, it doesn't change the equity. So the total for that row should be 0. There could be a revaluation surplus, and normally is dividends. And if there's more than one, trying to group them together if you can. That decreases retained earnings. There always is profit for the year. I just nearly missed that out, and that increases retained earnings. And then you total it up, and get all 12 marks